Hey guys, welcome back to the Modern Samurai Project podcast, a podcast dedicated to those that have chosen the self-reliant lifestyle. We talk about self-defense training, whether it be firearms, jiu-jitsu, whatever you can think of, fitness, all those other things to basically get better. So today, my guest is Jason Sturm. Jason owns Old Glory Gym in Ashburn, Virginia. It is, in his words, a CrossFit-esque gym, something like that. And Jason has a super, super interesting story, which I'm going to let him tell that because I will not do it justice. But just so you know, we already said CrossFit, guys. So sorry, we broke it. We broke the seal already. So anyway, Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and why the hell you got into the crazy business of owning a gym.
Well, I mean, so the funny thing is I grew up a fat kid. I graduated high school. I was about my same height. I'm about 6'1". I grew up graduated high school about 6 feet tall, almost 300 pounds. Great big old fat kid. None of it was muscle. It was just I love to eat, and I still love to eat. But ultimately, after some failed attempts at college and deciding, you know what, I'm just going to be the guy that just, for my high school that just works and, does that. I decided really quickly I had to change my kind of my path, because I decided that I was never going to go anywhere if I just worked, and I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I joined the Army, I was a military intelligence guy. I was basically a voice interceptor, eavesdropper, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Finished up language school and stuff like that. When I went to basic training, the funny thing was I've always been kind of a self-motivated guy. And when I went in to first see the recruiter to go join the Army, of course I walked in, I'm super heavyweight. I'm a big old fat tubby kid. I've got this long goatee. I've got my hair pulled back. I've got greasy hair. I look like I'm just a mess. I'm probably the recruiter's worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that wasn't mixed in there was drug use. So, I came in and they were like, well, we're going to give you your practice ASVAB test and see if you can even pass that. They looked at me. The guy looked at me the whole time. He was like, yeah, you big dummy. Into this room, and I take this practice ASVAB test, and I come back out like 10 minutes later, and you got like an hour to do it or something like that. And I come out like 10 minutes later, and he looks at me and was like, oh boy. And he goes, where's your test? And I said, okay, it's right here. This is before you did it on a computer. And he goes, oh, well, what about your scratch paper for your math? And I was like, I didn't need scratch paper. I said, that shit was easy. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he sits down and he looks at it, and I basically missed one question. And then all of a sudden he was like, oh, let's get you to join the Army,
Yeah.
But then he broke the obvious news to me. Hey, fatty, you're going to have to lose some weight. So I think he didn't believe me, which inherently challenged me. And I work really well if I feel like people aren't going to believe me.
Sure.
Aren't going to believe that I can do something. So I left there, and I had another meeting with him 30 days later. And at 30 days later, I went from 289 pounds to about 245 pounds. And basically not the way you want to do it. So don't do what I did. But I literally ate one time a day. I drank nothing but water. And I went on anywhere from 4 to 5 hour walks every night. Sometimes with a weighted backpack, whatever I had to do to lose weight. I didn't have enough money to go to a gym or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Practice push-ups, all that other crap. By the time I go to basic training, I'm 230 pounds. I show up a big tubby lard ass again. They put me through the ringer there. Basically didn't let me eat the entire time. Come out of basic training, 190 pounds.
Oof.
Yeah. So in the time from when I went to join the Army to the time I actually went to basic, I lost about 100 pounds. Or by the time I finished basic, finished my training, all the other stuff, got up. My first duty station was Fort Drum, New York. I'm probably one of the oddballs. I know a lot of 10th Mountain guys, but there's not very many of us that actually liked it up there.
You and Ash Hess. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, man. It's like, but I loved it. I didn't mind the snow. I went out and did things. I didn't just sit in my barracks and drink and stuff. I got into physical fitness and things like that. A friend of mine up there, one of my old platoon mates, introduced me to powerlifting. and I was just smitten. I fell in love with it. But I determined that I was going to make the Army a career. I had decided at that point that I am going to be in the Army until they tell me you're too old to be in the Army. And I felt like I could deal with enough bullshit to just suck it up and make it work for at a minimum of 20 years and keep pushing. Well, in 2002, I was out in the field for a field training exercise, and we were actually at breakfast, and 205 millimeter artillery rounds landed about a mile and a half short of their target. One of them landed about 5 feet behind me. The other one landed about 15 meters off to my right, and hit a mobile kitchen trailer. It killed 2 people, injured 13 of us. I was one of the more severely that was injured out of everything. And essentially, what happened was the military wanted to save my leg. My lower left leg was very, very damaged. So they did some limb salvage work to actually save my leg. After about 8 months, I was like, guys, this isn't working. I'm 25 years old. I've got a kid on the way, or actually my kid had been born at the time, my son. I was like, I need to be able to do stuff. I can't be walking around on crutches. And they went from, yeah, you're going to be fine to, eventually you'll be able to walk with a cane. And I'm like, I'm not doing that crap. Mm-hmm. So I opted to have my leg amputated. Again, it was a kind of a scenario where, I felt like I was being challenged as an individual to do something more important with my life. And the best way for me to do that, and the most positive way for me to do that, was to be drastic and actually have an amputation of my lower left leg. So did that, started the whole process of getting my prosthetics and all the other stuff. 2003, I was medically retired from the Army, became a government contractor for a while, was still kind of active. I had gained weight again, but then I started dropping weight, and I went through these phases. I wanted to run. I ran. I wanted to do Baton Death March. I did that twice. Wanted to do some other stuff. Got into some funny things here and there. And then this guy that my wife was an analyst in the FBI, and one of her classmates sent her a list of these workouts and said, "You got to show this to Jason. He'd love this." And he sent it to me, and it's this CrossFit thing. Mm. And of course, I know I said CrossFit again, but
CrossFit, drink.
Right. I feel like I need to have shots or something, but it's got to be like some sort of paleo liquor or some shit.
Exactly. Smart water.
Yeah, or coffee. So I'm sitting there, and I go and look at this workout, and I'm like, there's no effing way I can do any of this shit, man. I'm like, I can't do this. So then I start getting a little bit interested in it, and I start dipping my toe in it a little bit. And I basically spent an entire year teaching myself the CrossFit movements, watching videos, studying, looking at things. And then when I had a mental checklist of things I needed to be able to do before I went into a CrossFit gym, because I was banking on the fact that, in 2010, 2011, there probably wasn't a whole lot of amputees out there running around in the CrossFit world. And, and I thought to myself, I want to go in, I want to be coached. I want to learn about this thing. I want to get better at doing this thing. I want to better myself, but I need to make sure that I don't go to this gym and the coach looks at me and goes, I don't know what to do with you. So go over here and stand in a corner. And so I basically learned all these things. I went into CrossFit Reston over in which ironically is in Herndon, Virginia, but Herndon, Reston, Virginia.
Yep.
Went in there, and the coach, the owner, she was like, I got it. Yeah, no problem. Come on in. So we started working and started doing good things. And she actually came up to me and said, her and her husband own Reston and Fairfax. And both of them basically said, we'd like to put you in as a, send you to your level 1 to be a coach. And I'm like, well, I'd never thought about that, but I really wanted to do this. And at the same time, I was really, really disenchanted with being in the government contract industry. I just hated it. I hated being in an office all the time. I hated being, having a 9 to 5 or whatever hell shift they gave me. I just didn't like it. It didn't suit how I saw myself being.
Sure.
Being that I had to give up my military career because someone else's screw up.
Yeah.
So I went and I took my level 1 certification. And immediately afterwards, was approached by somebody about coaching at CrossFit Walter Reed. So of course I went to CrossFit Walter Reed and I started coaching there and ended up running the program as the head coach and operations officer for about 3.5 years of the 4 years I was there, about 3 years actually of the 4 years I was there.
Hmm.
And ultimately that kind of led me to applying for and becoming a Pat Tillman military scholar, going back to school for kinesiology.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I left government contracting, went back to school, and the whole process of all of this going on, leaving government contracting, going to school. 2014, I got approached about trying out for the U.S. Paralympic, well, the Paralympic side of bobsled, which was still an evolving sport at the time. In 1 year, I basically started in the sport, won the first ever Para World Cup championship, quit my job as a government contractor making six figures a year to make nowhere near six figures a year, and started down the path of coaching and personal training and stuff like that. And with the idea that, my wife and I said I wanted to open up a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of morphed, the actual gym itself, the entity that I wanted to open. I always had it in my mind. It was as you mentioned, a CrossFit-esque or CrossFit type facility. But I always looked at it as I wanted to do something a lot more, which is part of the reason why my gym is not named CrossFit, whatever. It's got a CrossFit program that we pay our affiliation fee.
Mm-hmm.
On that, it's my gym. And the opportunity posed itself in early 2016 to buy another one of the CrossFit gyms out in the area out here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Finances didn't work out in terms of what they were asking for the gym. They had quite a bit of debt, and they had some other things in the background that weren't really quite working well. So it was one of those things where what I was prepared to give them, they weren't prepared to accept.
Mm-hmm.
And it just meant that I struck out on my own and did it myself. So with a little bit of a loan from my wife and I took a loan. We got cash from my father-in-law and from financing our gym equipment. We basically opened the gym in July 2016, not knowing how it was going to go at all, because I'd only ever been taught how to coach, never knew how to run a gym, never knew anything about the back end, the financial aspect of running a gym. I had this idea: you're a person that comes to my gym, you pay me money, I pay people, I write checks for bills, but had no idea about the other shit going on. And that's morphed into what you see today, which is, we have Old Glory Gym. We're in Ashburn, Virginia. We've got our bread and butter is our CrossFit program, but we have a thriving kettlebell program.
Mm-hmm.
Got a run club. We've got a barbell program. We are one of the only gyms out in the area that has regular open gym. We've got other programs and things like that and specialties. We've got a chiropractic service that's with us. But all of this kind of came in, is all a part of this idea I had to create a center where you would come in and you have all the options in the world that you want to do to make you better physically and hopefully mentally and emotionally. But my goal has always been, and as I told you and Bev when you guys came in, was I don't care how gym strong you are. I don't care if you can snatch 1,000 pounds. I don't care if you can do this or whatever, because that doesn't mean shit if you can't walk from your car to the front door without being out of breath.
Yeah.
And if you can't do what you are trying to do as a human being, whether it's your job, your family, or whatever, but you're super strong in the gym, that really doesn't mean anything.
Right.
And that's the kind of environment that we've slowly cultivated here, which is why we have a lot of people here that, we have some people that care about their CrossFit personal best and their Olympic lifting personal best, but they use that as kind of a mode to get better outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will tell you, one of the main things that got Bev and I over to your gym is that I think we had a mutual friend that had been there, but she had since moved out of the area. And Bev had a bad experience. I actually think of with that gym that you were going to buy, but didn't work out with. So she kind of soured on that. But a lot of people had said some good things. Me, we've talked about this before. I was a jujitsu guy, right? So your testosterone ridden guys, right, do one of two things: jujitsu or CrossFit. And if you do one or the other, you make fun of the other. Right.
Totally.
So, I didn't know that much about it. but Bev and I had been looking for a gym, and when she came and talked to you and had that long discussion, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go talk to the guy. And I don't even know if you noticed this, but when you and I first had our conversation, I walk in, I saw your prosthetic, and I smiled. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, but I mean, I often get people that will look at me and they'll see the prosthetic and it's kind of funny. They're either like they smile or they're like, oh, okay, or they do the what I call Austin Powers when they're like mole 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 and they
It
like
was, yeah,
stare
they
and they're like,
stared, yeah.
oh my God.
Now, my thing was like, oh, well, this dude's gonna have to do modifications. That's my jam. Right?
Yeah.
And I knew the conversation would at least have a foundation in
Mhm.
that. Uh, and then I think as we like, what did I think? What did I say? I was like, so how did a linguist lose his leg in the army? Right. And you kind of just looked at me because I was very upfront about. I was like, oh, sorry, dude. I just know a lot of knuckle dragging face shooters that have lost body parts, so it's really not that big of a deal. Sorry.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, I actually get that a lot. I mean, by virtue of my age, I'm 41 now. I was injured in 2002, so during Afghanistan, the beginning of the war in Iraq was right around the time I was injured. And people are always asking me, they're like, Iraq or Afghanistan, and I just go New York, and then usually walk away, or something like that, or someone will say, "Oh, wow, I didn't know you were missing a leg," and I was like, "Well, yeah, technically, I'm not missing it. I know exactly where it was." So
I actually volunteered to leave it somewhere,
yeah,
and
yeah. It's Well, I joke around sometimes. I'll tell people it's on the mantle at home. It's like sitting mounted on a board. So if people tend, dude, people will look at you and it's like they don't know if you're serious.
that's
They're
why I
like,
love you, dude. That's
they're
awesome. Yeah, bro. We'll go ahead. I got a taxidermy deer and a lion in my leg over here. But so yeah, but that's the thing I think we love about the gym that goes into the culture and everything. It's just that frank, don't take yourself too serious, but let's work hard.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
great workout, dude. So where was the convergence though? We talked about that CrossFit like thing, but with
Mhm.
that more complete. So here's for example, I'll give an example of what you do, which I don't think a lot of other gyms do. When someone joins your gym, they have to take introductory lessons
Mhm.
about the basic movements in CrossFit. uh, I don't think a lot of gyms do that. They just throw you in and get you signed up. And I'm not saying that as a whole, and I'm not saying that only CrossFit. A lot of gyms do that. I
Yeah.
believe that's unique, or at least semi-unique with your gym. Why do you do that?
Well, so the funny thing is so that idea. So I one of the things I had identified when I first decided to open a gym was I said I need help here. I hired a outstanding accountant. She's probably the best thing that I could have ever hired beyond my, Allison, my head coach, and Monica, my general manager, and stuff like that. But the other thing I did was I hired a business development coach. So he basically taught me, what it is that I need to be doing to make sure that the gym is sustainable. And he teaches personal training first. So that methodology. Well, the idea that I had was, so when the other gym that I primarily coached at, which will always be a home of mine, was CrossFit Rubicon, which is no longer in business anymore. But CrossFit Rubicon had a very real world way of attacking CrossFit. And what I mean by that is it goes back to what I said earlier, where they wanted you to be able to sustain your outside of the gym activities by what you did inside the gym. And a lot of other CrossFit gyms really just want you to get good at CrossFit, because if they get
Yeah,
you good at CrossFit, and that's not a bad thing at all, but if they get you good at CrossFit, then you stay there doing CrossFit,
sure.
and that's awesome. It's fine because it's a great business model, and if you do it the right way, it works out really well. But one of the problems I found was that for me, I wanted to make sure that each and every one of you that's already in class gets the best experience that you can get when you're there. And I can't do that if I have a single coach, 15 athletes, And let's just say 4 of those athletes have never done anything in that class before. They've just
Right.
tried a class out and joined the gym. So I said, all right, I need to find a way to get people onboarded. But a long time ago in CrossFit, what they did when they first came up was you would just hold like a free class on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And that's how you got your new people in. And then that morphed to, oh, well, you do foundations classes. Well, then the problem with that is you have to allocate a coach to coach a class that may not have anybody in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what I said was, all right, well, I'm going to take my business development coach's PT first mentality, take my idea of a foundations thing and mix it together and come up with something where we have 3 foundations classes or 3 foundations personal training sessions that are scheduled, and you complete those, and then you go into the classes. And we've had a couple incidences where we've had um, people who have finished the 3 foundation sessions, and I didn't feel that they were personally ready for class, so I've had them do a couple other sessions with me. They don't like it, but in the end, they tend to respect that because they understand why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
A lot of times, gyms will just say, "Oh, I want you to pay for PT because PT makes a lot of money." And yeah, you're a business, you want to make money, but you shouldn't make money at the expense of gouging your members. Well, what I did with the PT first thing was I said to myself, if I do this way, here's the cool thing about this. Instead of me saying, Scott, I want you to join my gym. Before you can come to classes, I need you to attend these 3 classes or 4 classes or 10 classes, however they want to do it. And you have to attend all of these classes before you can join the gym. By the way, you're already paying a membership. You're only going to these classes, and they're scheduled at my convenience.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Especially in Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
So what I said, we're doing it personal training wise. I'll put up the 2 people like I did with you and Bev. I'll put you guys within the same thing. And then what I'll do is I'll say, okay, if I put you guys in this class, you schedule it at your convenience. I'll make sure that me or another coach is ready to work with you. That way, right then and there that we are willing to work with you no matter what in the gym. It's not just you give me money, I give you a service, and that's it. You walk the hell away. So what that's led to is a pretty high retention rate, a pretty good understanding by people that are coming in the door of what they're getting into, and it creates more value for the client.
Yep.
Because they understand that, look, I'm requiring you give me a little bit more money up front. But what I'm also doing is I'm teaching you something so that you understand exactly what my expectations are when you go to class, and you've at least got a 1,000-foot overview of what it is that we're going to be doing in class. Are you going to go into class being a master of this stuff? No, you're not. But you're going to go, okay, well, I remember Jason and I going over this. Or when someone says, hey, I need your knees out in a squat, I need you to sit below parallel, you're going to say, that's not going to be the first damn time you heard that.
Yeah.
You heard it out of me 1,000 times. So it builds a better client experience overall, which for me is the personal goal, because again, just like in jiu-jitsu, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are rolling, you guys are doing your thing, but it's about the experience that you have with your classmates, with the guys that you're rolling with, the guys that you're hanging out with. The same thing applies here. It's about the experience. If I gave you the best programming, the prettiest equipment, the shiniest gym, but you came in and it was like a sterile environment and everybody hated it, no one would be here.
Yeah. No.
But if I gave you a good equipment, good gym, good location, relatively clean most of the time, and a great experience and a great community, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's because you're moving and you're going to another community altogether.
Right. Right. Or you're just quitting altogether because you got hurt. Yep. And I think that is probably the biggest thing that CrossFit has to combat. Right. Let's be clear though. Right. This is a dynamic activity. Right, with a lot of motion and weights, right? You can get hurt stepping off of a sidewalk.
Yep.
Right? You step off of a sidewalk 10,000 times, I guarantee you're going to fall down once, right?
Yeah.
Bottom line. The difference is, I think, with your gym versus other gyms I have been to, that completely counters your a lot of the image of a CrossFit is like you guys won't let anybody do something wrong. There's variances,
Yeah.
right? When you get tired and you're working hard, but there's a level of safety. I can't tell you how many times, especially since Allison is my main coach, where
Yep.
she's like, uh, hold on, stop, right? And probably Peter's my secondary coach, he has said the exact same thing. Or, nope, you're good, man. You can probably go up weight or go down weight. You'll get more benefit out of this. No one at any time has ever said to me, hey, I want to do this modification. Does that make sense? At no time has someone ever gone, nope, doesn't make sense, unless I was being lazy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, nope, that's good. You need to do it this intensity and this volume or this cal or this many reps, and that works for me. You
Well, I
know.
think I think a lot of that also comes from with us, what the way that we look at things is a lot different. A lot of CrossFit gyms, whenever you write up a workout, you have the prescribed movement, and then everything scales off of that. And that's the crux of CrossFit. That's what CrossFit does. If I'm going to ask you to do something, I'm going to give you a number of reps or the movement standards, the weights, all the other stuff. It's up to you or your coach to be smart and tell you that you are not at that level right there.
Right.
So what we do is we look at things. First off, we don't like to scale people for comfort. I don't care if you're uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
really, and I tell people that all the time. I have people look at me and like, what do you mean you don't care? I don't. I don't give a shit if you're uncomfortable. You don't pay me to be comfortable. If you pay me to be comfortable, this is Jason's fucking bar and grill, and I'm here.
That's right.
But it's not, I don't care if you're comfortable or not. What I do care about though is that we maintain your movement patterns the way we want them to look, that are within the parameters of your current capabilities and safety. All right. Those are the big things. So what our coaches do is we address scaling quite a bit differently. And the reason why we do that is, first off, we're not a gym that chases the RX. All right. So I'm not constantly trying to get you to RX a movement. Okay. That's great. But some people that come in here would go to some other CrossFit gyms and be told there's no way you need to be doing that, or would be that you need to not, or you need to do this with this way. Okay. I'm going to snatch a PVC 1,000 times. Okay. How about if the person just never has a real reason to snatch? Do you excommunicate them? Do you make them, oh, you just go over here and do your own thing? No, what it comes down to is the way that we scale is, first and foremost, is always keep the athlete or the client involved in class,
Mm.
period. I've had people come to me, I've got a broken foot, I'm just going to row. Well, why the fuck are you just going to row? Well, but what would I do for this? Well, you know what? As someone who is taking your money every month, I will write up what your scale is going to be. And that's your scale, your scaled workout. And our coaches approach things that way.
Yeah.
So what we do is, a lot of times with CrossFit, so CrossFit's got a really, really awesome library of information. It's called the CrossFit Journal, and I'm not trying to sell that or anything, but what I'm saying is in there they've got a lot of standards for scaled options. What happens is a lot of CrossFit coaches actually hone in on scale to mimic the movement. Well,
Mm.
that doesn't work.
Mm.
If you want me to scale to mimic the movement of a squat, okay, genius. How does that work when someone rolls in your gym in a wheelchair and they can't squat?
Mm.
You have to come up with what is the stimulus you're trying to extract or trying to introduce. Then what you do, your scaling should be off of that. So that's part of the reason why, we had an athlete that came to us who had a non-functional squat. She'd come from another CrossFit gym. She had CrossFit experience. She actually kind of slipped through the foundations part and actually got into the classes. And what we discovered was she had a non-functional squat. She was just not functional. And the previous CrossFit gym has kept telling her, widen your feet, do this, do that. No matter what they did, she had no squat. Well, she didn't have a squat because she was a distance runner. She had no idea what it was like to actually use her glutes and hamstrings.
Mm.
I said is, okay, you're not going to squat right now. What I want you to do is I want you to get back on the glute and ham, or the glute bridge machine that we have in the back.
Yep.
And I want you to use that until you know what it's like to feel your glutes firing. And then we have a discussion about whether you're going to be squatting. So what we did was we put her on that, and then we slowly worked in the squat aspect of that once she built up some strength and body awareness on what it is to actually fire her butt and her hamstrings. So that's a one, but the best part was she was in class the entire time.
Yeah.
So we didn't put her off to the side. We didn't say, you're going to go do your own little thing and not be involved in class. We always kept her involved in class. And that's what it comes down to. So that's part of the reason why, when you came in, years of jujitsu, banged up shoulders, banged up knees, things like that, you never once were told to go off to the side and go do this. It was always keep you involved in class. And that is step, because again, it goes back to the experience part. If it comes to the experience part, you're always going to come back. You're always going to work hard. You're always going to get the best coaching we can provide you. Now, I'll tell you all the time, we don't have all the answers. But if I have someone that comes in and says, yeah, I had 2 total knee replacements, I'm free to squat. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that you're actually squatting. And right, that, the little butt hump thing. But if you're doing it, okay, now we got something we can play off of. And now what we do is we start going, okay, well, first of all, why did you have the knee replacement? Oh, I had a knee replacement because I was a football player. Okay, I know historically, especially because I have a high school age son who plays football, that strength and conditioning in high schools is often put as much weight on the bar as you can humanly do and try and do that. We don't really care about form. Just don't fuck yourself up enough to a point where you can't play.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Well, you probably started dorking yourself up way back when, and it just built over the years. And now you have a total knee replacement. Now let's teach you what you should have been taught at the age of 14.
100%. I mean, I was that football player growing up, and I thought I could squat, but had no idea. And I'm big on mechanics, right? Anybody that's ever taken one of my firearms class, the body works the way the body works. But then again, you don't know what you don't know. And I think it took 2 months, 3 months to get me, not even 3 months. It was 2 months to get me below 90. And I got to tell you, for all the guys out there that think I'm a tough guy, I will tell you that first squat where I went below 90, dude, I kind of welled up. That hadn't happened for a while, a long time.
I spent, I had to relearn how to squat as an amputee. And I have I'm 305, 315 pound back squat below parallel as an amputee. We've done studies at George Mason University where they've measured the impact on my feet when I squat. We've determined that I'm about 65% on my right leg, which is my non-amputated side, and about 35% on my amputated side. That's a lot of weight on one leg, but it took me a good 2 years to teach myself how to squat the proper way. And the first time someone ever posted a picture of me squatting and it was like ass below parallel, knees driven out, upright chest, all the other things, I was like, holy shit. And I welled up, man. I don't cry at anything, man. I mean, I'm the guy that falls asleep in a tattoo chair. I just don't cry at much things. And I saw that and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. By the way, that glute bridge and then the rogue squat rack.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love those 2 things, man. I absolutely love those 2 things.
And they're here because, I mean, we're lucky in that we chose a good facility where we had enough space to have some of those toys. But I mean, both of those machines right there are, for me, I mean, I use them every time, at least once a week with my personal training clients. I'm using those 2 machines. I use them because, you can really make people work into positions that they need to be in, but you can also strengthen things when they're not able to get into, like, if I can't put a bar on your back because you've got, issues in your vertebrae in your back, well, guess what? I can put you on a belt squat machine, which loads your hips, not your back. I can put you on a glute bridge machine, and you will get stronger glutes and hamstrings and, and quads. And the reason why I do that is it goes back to when I used to train amputees at Walter Reed. I train those amputees because the one thing an amputee wants you to know, or doesn't want you to know, is when we're wearing pants, we don't want you to know we're an amputee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I can take an above knee amputee and clean up their gait so much by strengthening their glutes, hamstrings, and quads that they're now walking with almost no limp, dude, that's money. Who gives a shit whether they can deadlift or squat? That right there is money.
Yep.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
and it's longevity. It's being a better human for
Yep.
longer.
Yep. That's awesome. So now that I kind of got the audience knowing that you're not, your usual CrossFit WOD RX knuckle dragging
Yeah.
dude. Yeah. Why CrossFit? Why not Orange Theory? Why not HIT? Why not Insanity? Why CrossFit, Jason?
Well, I mean, first off, I think that all of those other things have a place. One of the things that I think makes me a little bit different as a gym owner is that I don't feel like my thing is the only thing. There's a lot of gym owners out there that are like, no, you're either a CrossFitter or you're a blah, whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's not right, because let's be honest, CrossFit didn't come around until 2007 ish, and guess what? There's a whole lot of fucking weightlifting
Yeah.
going on before that. I
Yeah.
love bodybuilding, I love powerlifting, I love Olympic lifting, I love strongman's the most functional damn thing you can do.
Hmm.
But for me, CrossFit, one of the things I liked about CrossFit was I liked a couple of things. One, I liked the commonality it had to the military. You can talk to people in the military and they're like, oh yeah, we did CrossFit or we did this or whatever. Now sometimes that's some sort of bastardized CrossFit that their platoon sergeant devised in their head that was
Yeah.
stupid and no science behind it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
It's get smoked fit.
exactly. And I think part of the problem I had, or one of the things I had was, I told this story this weekend. We had a workout this weekend that I had programmed for Saturday. It was Mannion. And Mannion's one of the hero workouts in CrossFit. It's named after Travis Mannion. He died on April 17th, 2009. I'm sorry, April 29th, 2007. Wow, I got those all messed up. But um, it was 7 rounds, 400-meter run, 29 back squats at 135 or 95 for the ladies. That's a lot of work. But
Yeah.
I discovered that workout very early in my CrossFit time. And I loved it so much before I understood that you were supposed to have constantly varied, um, you know, strength and conditioning work in CrossFit. I did that workout every damn Wednesday. And then Friday, because I loved Murph, which is 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, another mile run. I did that shit every Friday, 6 months, because I just loved them. And that part there, the fact that someone was able to or wanted to basically name these workouts that were going to test you both mentally and physically after fallen service members, police officers, firefighters, I was like, I like that. I want to be a part of that, because I still greatly miss all of my time in the military.
Hmm.
I tell my wife all the time, I feel like I was taken out in scrimmage and not allowed to play in a big game.
Yeah.
Um, so that was part one. The other thing that I loved about CrossFit from the get go was the fact that I wasn't at Gold's Gym, and I have nothing against Gold's Gym, but that's where I used to work out. I wasn't at Gold's Gym with my headphones on, ignoring everybody.
Right.
I walked in. If I didn't show up, someone messaged me and, Jason, why weren't you in class today? Not
Yeah.
the coaches. I mean, here we message people, but it was my fellow classmates. Hey, why, dude, that workout was awesome. Why weren't you there? And I love the fact that they wanted me there, and that it was like there was an expectation that I was going to be there at a certain time. There was an expectation that, oh, this is a workout Jason's going to do really good at. Things like that. That just reached into me because
Yep.
it turned me back to when I used to do the ruck marches in the Army and stuff like that, and I would finish before or like in the middle of the pack, and I'd turn around and go back and start bringing people in.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
there just reached to me, and I was like, that's something I liked. Now it's not for everybody. I mean, there's people that are like, oh, I don't like CrossFit because I don't want people cheering me on. Okay, well, you spend about 2 months in a CrossFit gym, people figure out who doesn't want to be cheered on, and
Right.
they don't cheer you on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
And I will say that, I think I've said this to you. I've definitely said it to Allison. It's interesting, I am, no matter how much older I get, I will always be a super competitive person. Right.
Mhm.
That's part of the reasons why I have so many injuries that I have, is because,
Yeah.
dumbass don't know when to stop. Right. But it's also, if I've been successful in everything, I think that may be the secret to my success as well.
Yep.
And the gym culture, whether or not that is exclusive to yours or not, I do think it's special to yours in that People don't care if you scale or not. A good hard workout with the appropriate scales uh, is still something to be respected, and everybody says good workout. People go out of their way to say, "Man, good work today, good work
Yep.
today," and that means something, And it's not a matter of, well, you did the RX and you had to scale, so you don't get the DAP today or something like that. It's not. It's like everyone's like, "Hell yeah, let's do
Yeah.
this." And there are some incredible athletes in the gym that are some of the biggest, we'll use the word cheerleader or motivators.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the coaches are there, they're always great, but guys like Nick, people like Dr. Jane.
Yep.
Hell, Dr. Jane finished the WOD today. I could have sworn she did it like in 6 minutes or some shit like that. I was looking on, I'm like, what in the hell is going on? But that motivates you. It's enough
Yeah.
to where you conquer the workout, but you see how good other people are. Are you going to get there? Well, they're half your age. Relax, dude.
Yeah.
Right? But accomplishing it is the prize in it of itself. And you don't lose sight of that at Old Glory. So without getting too mushy and everything, dude, I sincerely appreciate that culture because that's a direct reflection on you.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, man. I mean, to be honest, I mean, look, CrossFit, people want to knock CrossFit for all it is. But that's the only sport I've ever seen where the person that finishes first cheers for the one that finishes last.
Yep.
And it happens, and it's not just a one-off thing. It happens all the time in here. I mean, last week we had one of the benchmark workouts, Diane, deadlifts and handstand push-ups.
Yep.
I'm in here in my office. I'm trying to write up ads to put on Facebook, and I'm just hearing cheering to the point where I'm like, fuck me, I got to go see what's going on. And I go back there, and everybody is circled around one athlete who is trying her best to finish her, her handstand push-ups, because this is the first time she's able to do this workout with all handstand push-ups.
Yep.
And it's just, it was awesome, and you see things like that. And, I'm not knocking Globo gyms and stuff like that. Everything has its own place. Some of it does. Some of it's a little bit gimmicky and hokey, but whatever. But I always look at it and I go, you know what? When I was at those places, if I didn't show up for 2 weeks, no one knew. No one cared.
Yeah.
But you don't show up here, people care.
Yeah.
I've got people that ask me, hey, have you seen Scott recently? Oh yeah, Scott's traveling. Oh, okay, cool. Just wondering, and I've been taught as by my business development coach to not sell community. And I don't, because everybody that has a CrossFit gym wants to sell that they have a great community, and it's true. A lot of CrossFit gyms do very good at community. A lot of them don't. What we do though extremely well is I don't sell the community. I bring people into the classes and let them see what the community's like.
100%. Yep.
When you've got like a brand new guy that shows up to class who is like, he's dying. He has never done any of this shit like this before. I'm standing there shadowing him, and people are coming up cheering him on as he's trying to finish it. And it takes him from, pukey McStumbles to he feels like a goddamn champion. And then he walks out of there and he's like, wow, that's great. And then that makes my next step profoundly easier, because then I can turn around and go, okay, well, want to join? Sure, I'll give you my credit card and go ahead and up and do foundations with you. And that's how it rolls down. It just rolls, man.
Yep, absolutely. So, okay, so that's what a great gym, CrossFit or not, actually, that's what a great gym looks like. So specifically to CrossFit, can you give some people some warning signs to look for, right? For example, people still ask me all the time, hey, what do I look for in a jiu-jitsu gym? I go, well, unless you're a fighter, don't join an MMA unless they have a children's program. If they have a children's program, that means they are business people and know how to have a program without people getting hurt.
Yeah.
Right. You walk into an MMA gym and there's no program there and it smells like ass and guys got ringworm on, get the hell out of there. What are some of the warning signs to where if you walk into a CrossFit gym that it's turn right back around and go find somewhere else?
I mean, one of the things I'll tell people, there's a couple different things. in terms of like coaching and stuff like that, first and foremost, all of us know what it's like to speak to someone who is not engaged with what we're saying and not actually engaged in the conversation. First thing you can do is when you walk in or when you contact a CrossFit gym, look at how engaging they are. One of the things I do when if you send me your information and I reach out to you, one of the very first things I do is try to find a common point with you. If you give me your phone number and it's a 757 area code, I might say like, hey Scott, how's it going? Wow, 757, haven't seen that area code in a while. What's going on in Newport News? Something like that. Just something
right.
to go, oh shit, this guy actually took the time to figure out where I'm from. So you want to see how engaged someone is with you in the conversation. Whether it's on the phone or whatever. If you're on the phone with them and all you hear is, yeah, yeah, we do that. Yeah. Walk the fuck away because they don't. Definitely be aware or be very wary of joining a gym that will just put you into classes. They should be asking you questions. Do you have CrossFit experience? Well, kind of. Oh, okay. Well, what do you mean by well, kind of? Well, I did it one time at a buddy of mine's place. I did a drop in. Oh, okay, great. That's fine. Or yeah, I've got years and years of experience. Oh, okay, awesome. Where'd you CrossFit before? Look, I'm not the fucking NSA. I'm not going to go and try and figure out where you live. But what I am going to do is if you tell me that if you did CrossFit at the gym down the road, I'm going to go, okay, great. If you don't know the name of the CrossFit gym you did it at, you didn't do CrossFit.
Right.
Period. So as an owner, as someone that's trying out a gym, welcome questions like that because they're engaged and they want to know about you. But they also want to know, is this person going to be someone that I have to put through foundations? And that's the big thing that you need to watch out for is if they're not going to put you through a foundations program, if they're not going to have some sort of on-ramp program, whether it's personal training, classes, whatever, don't tie that to a discount. Just, is there some form of on-ramp program? And are they requiring you complete all of it to join the gym? If that is present, that's someplace that you need to put kind of high on the list.
Okay.
And the reason why is, again, if you don't have any experience in this shit and you go into it, look, I don't go to a jiu-jitsu gym and have no experience and want to get in on the mat with the toughest guy. You're going to tear me apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not, I want to join a jiu-jitsu gym that's going to teach me how to do those things before I go and fuck myself up. The last thing you want to really watch out for when you go into a CrossFit gym is you want to look for cleanliness. And when I say cleanliness, I mean this, all right? Anybody out there listening to this, please understand, most CrossFit gyms are in warehouse spaces. If you think you're walking into Gold's Gym and everything is dress right, spick and span, and there's not dust on the floor, you're in the wrong fucking area. Go back.
You ain't lying.
If you go in there and there's fucking hair on the floor and there's trash and the trash cans are overflowing and there doesn't look like there's any kind of order to the gym, that's someone who does not care about their gym. They don't care about the facility itself. That's going to tell you that they don't care about you. And those are like the simple ones there. I mean, I remember, I can't remember which CrossFit gym owner it was, but it's a pretty prominent CrossFit athlete that did it. He did a podcast one time and he talked about holes in the wall because, we drop things and holes get punched in the wall and shit like that. And he said, if there's holes in the wall, there's holes in your business. If you're not taking the time to fix things like that, there's holes in your business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always look at when I go to a CrossFit gym, if I'm going to look to make that my place, my thing that I'm going to do, I'm definitely not going to a dirty, shitty place. And I'm definitely not going to go to a place that doesn't want to ask me any questions about who I am.
Yep. 100%. All right, man. So we're getting to the final segment, the get it off your chest segment, right? So you can pretty much talk about anything you want in relation to what you do, your industry, things of that nature. That and it's not something like, I wish my neighbors would shut the fuck up at night or anything like that. It's basically, if people, to get this off your chest, people will get better. Please start doing this or whatever.
So one of the things I want to talk about is, and it's that time of year, right? Um, I'm going to be completely honest with people, and I'm going to tell you completely how it is and honestly how it is. Resolutions aren't shit. I don't care about your resolutions. I do not give two fucks what it is that you want to do in the year 2019 or how much weight you want to lose. That doesn't matter to me. And the reason why is if you've chosen to make a decision of how you want to lead your life based off of a date. Hey, on this first day of the year of 2019, I'm going to decide I'm not going to be a piece of shit anymore and put every damn piece of food in my mouth and go to the gym every day. You're not going to last because your mind isn't right. And your mind isn't right because you don't know what the truth is. And here's the honest to God truth. You don't like honesty. All right. As an individual, people do not like honesty. You don't like it if I tell you, Scott, you're fucking ugly. You know, I don't like it when people tell me that, oh, Jason, you look like you gained weight. Well, fuck you. Yes, I have gained weight, but I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
What people don't like is honesty. And people don't like it when you tell them, you know, Sally, I don't care about your New Year's resolutions. I would like to have you in my gym, but I don't give a shit if you want to be here for a month. I want you here long term. I'm going to require that you pay me money up front. I'm going to require that you go through these classes. I'm going to require that you do these things, and I'm going to keep checking up with you. And if that's not something you want, there's the door. There's plenty of other gyms in the area that'll go ahead and take you and take your money and do whatever it is. Just understand that you are not going to reach any goal that you have long term with this nearsighted view on how you want to do things. And the problem with this time of year is everybody goes and they get bitten by the sale. Okay. You can go to fucking Planet Fitness down the street and join for like a quarter.
Yeah.
And give them $9.99 a month, and they don't give a shit if you ever show up in that place.
Yep.
I've had people call here, Jason, what kind of specials are you running? I don't run specials. Yeah, but it's the beginning of the year. I don't give a fuck. I don't. I don't care. You know? If I give you a discount, I'm telling you that my people are not worth what I'm requiring you pay for it. And I just refuse to do that. So what happens this time of year is people get bitten by the sale. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to go do this. And then once the shininess is rubbed off of that sale, that pre-sale item on something, they no longer have interest in it and they are done. So what I tell people flat out this time of year is, one, don't make resolutions. They're fucking stupid. All right. Two, if you're making a decision to do something, just make the damn decision. Do it. Don't be an asshole. Be a fucking grown up. Okay. Don't put cake in your mouth every goddamn day. Put it in your mouth on Friday. You know, Go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. If you're not going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, go buy yourself a backpack, put 5 bricks in it and go walk. You know, guess what? A backpack with 5 bricks in it will cost you about $40 at the most. And you can walk your ass all over the place. And when you lose weight, you can start doing push-ups with it. When you lose more weight, you can start doing squats with it. And guess what? You don't have to meet some stupid resolution thing. You don't have to sit there and buy something from somebody to do it. You can do it on your own. But these gyms want to sell you that you need us to do it. Look, CrossFit's free. You can go to CrossFit.com and get all of this shit that CrossFit does.
Yeah.
When you come to me, you're paying for my expertise and my coach's expertise. If you've got the money to do that, do it. But don't give me some whiny bullshit excuse on why you didn't meet your New Year's resolution because the gym was too expensive.
Outstanding. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Jason, where can they find you? We said you're in Ashburn, Northern Virginia. Where can they find you on social media? How do they get a hold of you? And what should they expect when they talk to you? Other than zero fucks. Just kidding.
You can get me on. People can message me on Facebook. I've got a athlete/coaches page out there. People can go look at that. It's Jason Sturm, athlete coach. If you go look at that, you'll see all my bobsled pictures and shit like that. So that might tickle some people's fancy. You can get us here at the gym. If you just go to oldglorygym.com, fill out an information request. We'll get right back to you. I'll text you or I'll email you. All the correspondence comes from me. On social media, Old Glory Gym is on Facebook. Old Glory Gym on Instagram. We don't have a Twitter account because honestly, I just don't like Twitter. I think it's stupid. but the for Instagram and Facebook, we're out there. And then other than that, you can swing by. I mean, we're right over by Silver Eagle Group, in between the new Silver Eagle Group and the government side or whatever they're doing with the other space.
Mhm.
And we're also right over by Old Ox Brewery. So if you just want to come over and talk about the gym and then go get tanked, I mean, by all means.
By all means. Awesome. So awesome. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. You know, for all my friends that know me, I hate working out. That's why I like jujitsu, and that's why I like CrossFit, because it doesn't feel like working out to me. I mean, I'm still gassed and feel like I want to puke, but I've told this to Bev before, man. I could be in the middle of a hurricane, trying to fight for my life, and I'd still be bored.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't get bored, you
Dude,
know.
I'm a gym owner and I do CrossFit and I do powerlifting and I get bored all the time. But
Yeah.
I don't get bored with this stuff. It's always
Yeah.
got to throw at you.
Exactly. So, on to a little business. Otherwise, the CFO of the company will yell at me, guys. So this will be on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. Check out YouTube. You'll get all the discount codes from some sponsors on there. As far as where I'm going to be to remind you guys, I'll be in the Tifton, Georgia area, January 12th and 13th. I will be at Alpha Range in February for a 3-day class. That's appendix carry all the way through a 2-day RDS. And then Shoot Logic in Reesville, South Carolina. Hook me up. Come take a class. Go get in shape. Stop making excuses and give zero fucks while you're doing it. But most importantly, be good, stay safe, get training.